Stevie Giordano. This will be my third master class. I was requested to do a master class on a small video I did last year or so on YouTube called The Importance of Scat. And I'm going to make this a longer version of that video. I think as a jazz musician, I think what we really want to accomplish as players is to play our musical ideas that we have inside of us in our voice on the instrument. Welcome to part 2, the second part of this video, entitled The Importance of Scat. This segment, I'm going to call it Gaining Control, for you control freaks. Gaining control simply means that we want to make our voice our instrument. In this case, guitar for me. Whatever your instrument is, the first object to even be able to do this scat singing and using your ear when you play, and the concepts I spoke of, hearing through the changes. 1, 2, 3, 4. So again, you can keep the same idea as far as getting in control when it goes to the D flat key by way of a 2-5-1. Even though you're playing E flat minor, you don't have to be so conscientious of the E flat minor. You can just look at these 3 chords as a key of D flat. So again, staying in the same area, if I want to adjust these notes, that would be the root. Now the root, you also notice quite a bit of common tones between the C Aeolian and the D flat major. That can come into play later. But alright, right about now, we're going to do the full version of the tune with no substitutions yet, just straight time, and I'm going to play the melody first, and then I'm going to solo. But when I solo, of course I'm going to scat, but I'm also going to restrict my solo to just the 2 scales we spoke of, the C Aeolian scale, which is just a group of notes that's going to work with the changes. And then when the tune modulates to the E flat minor, modulates to D flat major, I'm going to use the D flat major scale, which has, we already discussed, 5 common tones. So I'm going to do, I have a program to do 4 choruses. I'll play the melody, then I'll take 3 more choruses, and then I'll start to play the accompaniment for you to solo. I mean, you have to remember, the design of this video is for the viewer to also interact with me playing the changes, sort of like a music -1 kind of deal, but with the momentum that hopefully I can create in using my scat and giving you these concepts to try. One, two, 1, 2, 3, 4. scenario, I have a tendency to want to tap on 2 and 4 with my foot, not just play quarter notes like that. Tick, tick, tick. I wouldn't want to do that. You know, just tapping off the foot. I mean, the idea here is to use space with time and to know that you don't have to create the time or feel a responsibility to create the time. I'm talking about an aspect of music that doesn't get touched on enough. It doesn't get talked about enough, the interactivity, because most of the focus was on soloing. So a tune like this alone together, I mean, I might, if I'm comping even in a duo, I might do something like this. 2, 3, 4, 1. I can still feel the groove, my foot's still going, but I'm not laying it down in your face. 1, 2, 3, This technique is about harmony. It's about dealing with harmony and how harmony or harmonic structures, even related or unrelated chords, can have an interesting effect on the beginning ideas of a composition, of a new composition. Now, the first thing I want to say is let's take just a common sounding chord. Let's say a minor seventh. G minor seventh in this case. Now this, of course, a minor seventh consists of 4 notes. You know, you don't have to know any of this stuff. I mean, if you do know any of that stuff, it doesn't even enter into that. Because if I just said, let's use our ear and let's see what we can hear in this chord. Of course, the top note seems to be the featured note, but you don't have to always use that note. But just in this example, I'm going to start on that note and see what melody I come up with. So let's say I go, which is going to be the D. Okay, now what I want to do, see, now that's just a simple diatonic chords. Now, I want to show you how powerful tonality is. I'm going to select some other chords, keep the same melody. It's in our heads. Should be in your head by now. I'm going to try some other chords with other destinations even, and try to demonstrate a thing that will still be pulled to G major. So let's take that first note B. Let's go out of the diatonic choices right now. Let's go to, let's think about that B. One of the sounds I like is the sharp 11 or flat 5. So if we make B a flat 5, we're talking about an F chord. So an F with a B is like. Now, in In this case, we're lucky enough that the melody is going to fit the first 3 notes or so. Unlike the last example, this one's going to be more free bass and not so diatonic. So the idea here is to not think in terms of a diatonic trap scale, symmetrical pattern, like, you know, particular whole tone scale. I'm not talking about random either. I'm talking about trying to use your ear and come up with a line that doesn't really have any plans other than we're going to see what happens. And I'm going to exemplify some tunes that I came up with that way and put the harmonization process in after that. So there was no harmonies in mind at the time that I wrote that, but when I harmonized it, I listened to it, and especially when it kind of like the beginning part, they seem very connected, like an E flat tonality or C minor. Alright, in this segment I'm going to talk about the actual voicings that I used in the Soli and the functions, because a particular voicing can have more than one function usually, unless you have a bass note in there, you know, a strong bass note. So I'm just going to go through them and then I'll explain them in another segment, but these are just the literal voicings and the functions that I used for Joy Spring. The voicings I used were, now these first two, just chromatic passing. The key chord here, though, is going to be looked at as a B flat minor, or a minor 4 chord, relative to F major. So the voicing here is 9, minor 3rd, and 5th, 3 parts. And then I put the C on the bottom, which is another 9th, just to give it an interesting texture, almost like Phrygian. So we're doing it like this. The melody's going, that's going to be the G major, so I have, this is actually an A flat 7, sharp 9. So this is 1, flat 7, 3rd, and the open B is the sharp 9. It's an interesting voicing, I like that voicing. And here's the G major.